This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC on location, LA Convention Center, South Hall. Take the back entrance. You'll see us right in front of the back entrance for noise control purposes. I have the pleasure of having our first podcast here with Andrea and Liz. We're going to talk about Speir Pilates. We're going to talk about pivoting careers. We're going to talk about making people awesome. And we're going to talk about business economics for all you entrepreneurs out there. So, Andrea, take it away.
Well, thanks for having us. First of all, this is an honor. And yeah, we're excited to talk about Pilates with you today because it is a hot topic right now. There's a lot going on in terms of a shift toward holistic wellness. And if you ask us, Pilates has been around since the 20s. So it's more people having an understanding and figuring out ways to make it something that could be, you know, a bigger offering and more digestible in terms of taking it from private sessions all the way to group. And that's what we're doing with Speir. We're trying to grow quality Pilates and make it more accessible and inclusive for as many people as possible.
Awesome. So welcoming to the Halo sector as of a year ago, Liz,
yes.
Officially from a recovering attorney, now is moonlighting and moving into our sector full time.
That's right.
So congratulations on making that pivot from
you.
Netflix. So talk about how your corporate experience, you know, kind of dovetails into what your passion is now. And how, like, that knowledge base, because I always tell people, like, go figure out how to do things and then do it yourself after you actually know what you're doing. So talk about that evolution.
Yeah. So I spent 10 years at Netflix, and then prior to that, I worked in film finance. So I developed, and I'm a lawyer by trade, and so I developed a kind of a good understanding of what finance looks like. I think what I learned from that was that, you know, financing deals look the same are very similar across a wide range of industries. Anyway, so I was working 10 years there. I scaled the business, grew teams, learned how to lead people, learned, you know, from the leaders at Netflix.
Right.
Really kind of absorbed the culture and understood what it meant to have a real, you know, solid culture at a company. And so when I met Andrea and we connected on forming this business, that's the framework that I was coming from.
Yeah. Now, were you a member and then seeked out the founder, or how did this connection happen?
No, we started it together.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, but how did you guys know each other originally?
Yeah.
So I'd been in Pilates for 18 years and teaching, I have at this point been in Pilates for 18 years. And I love every kind of fitness. So I got as many certifications as I could in ballet bar, personal training, all of that, and figured out how to keep that form-focused foundation of Pilates, which I connected with the most, but fuse in these different elements to that. And that's sort of where we started playing around with the formats. Where Liz came in is she has a passion for health and wellness as well. And we met through our husbands, and we got to talking. Liz was interested in investing in something in the Halo sector.
Thank you for using the term. I appreciate that.
And
you should do that the whole day.
Yeah. I'm gonna dig away.
Breaking Bad, episode 34.
And so, you know, we got to talking. She was interested in investing. We realized how much we connected with each other on where we wanted the Pilates industry to go, and decided to become full partners.
Yeah. And I actually was doing Pilates. I discovered Pilates. It was kind of exclusive. Didn't feel entirely welcome at any of the studios that I was going to. But then when I met Andrea, like, our values aligned, we were kind of like a yin to the yang.
Awesome.
I'm not trying to become a Pilates instructor.
So let me just, for the listeners on here, I started Integrity Square by myself. So, like, I am the founder. It's a lonely place sometimes, just, you know, trying to project, hey, everything's awesome. By the way, everything is awesome right now, so no issues. But during COVID, being a CEO of an investment bank in the health and fitness industry, probably not the best way to, you know, make a couple shekels. Anyway, the benefit of you being co-founders, the benefit of having a partner and basically knowing, like, we're on a roller coaster, we're gonna have awesome days, there're gonna be great wins, and we're gonna get blown out some days, right? If we're gonna use a sports analogy. So talk about, without like specific, you know, things that have happened, but to say, like, hey, like, this is like, I got a little bit of like a safety net, or I've got like a cushion.
No, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
I, you know, from my corporate background and I've seen ups and downs, and I've seen how leaders manage through ups and downs.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Andrea had that experience working for herself as a Pilates instructor. So when we did hit, that was our first wrinkle. COVID was our first major wrinkle. I think what I brought to the table, or what we had, was we could have a conversation, and then I really pushed to make decisions quickly, make smart decisions quickly, and move on. And I think without having that confidant, that person that you can go to that, brings something else to the table, brings another perspective to the table, it's really hard to do.
'Cause you got to get lost in your own head sometimes as a founder and entrepreneur, and you think like the walls are crashing in, but they actually might not be. But you're in your isolation effectively.
Yes.
I use this term a lot. A guy told me this like 24 years ago. I used to work for. His name is Peter Brockway. He's one of my mentors. He said, "Experience is what you get when you don't get what you want."
Yeah.
And like as you learn and kind of move around, what are some of the things, Andrea, that you've kind of noticed about how your own brain works, or how you like think about Pilates from when like you started, and say like, wow, like this footprint is actually architected not like randomly by design, but I want certain things to happen, and I want people to experience it in a certain way. And I want to talk about that, because I think sometimes people build a studio and they're like, you stop and you say, shit, dude, like only 35% is like revenue generating like Pilates room. And it should really be like 80%. We should have a small check-in, like we don't need to have showers here. So how have you like shifted from like, I love the modality, it's a great workout, people get results. I don't know why I'm talking like this, but I am. Hey dude, what's up? Okay, good. How has it changed like your perspective?
Yeah, so I think what's great is our core values are the same. We know what we want. That being said, we're open to understanding the learnings that we've had along the way. So especially with COVID, seeing what worked. We started with a group class studio. It was great. We realized having that ancillary revenue stream of the private studio was major. So instead of sort of sticking with what we thought was going to be the most successful, of just doing the group and just having this many reformers or X, Y, and Z, we honed in on those learnings and we added a private studio next door.
Smart.
But I would say that when you asked about Andrea's perspective and how it's changed.
Yeah.
One of the things that, when we had pre-COVID, I think Andrea had a very emotional connection to how Pilates operated for all of those years. And I'm always asking questions like, why are people paid this way? Why is it?
And this is why we're great partners.
You kind of need somebody to come in. Like I always ask questions like that. Also, like, why do you do it this way? Like, why is this set up this way? What's the experience you're trying to have here? And it's almost like you got to like script out like how I want you to feel, how I want you to walk through the space, how you experience it. So I think it's great that you bring that perspective. Like, I'm not ingrained in anything, so I'm just trying to learn. And is there like a reason to this, or just like the shit happened randomly and no one's changed it?
Exactly.
Right? And I think what works about both of us is we both are very confident in our perspectives, but we're also open to hearing the other's perspective and finding that middle ground. So I think that's one of the things that's been successful for our partnership, especially. We don't wear the same hat. We respect each other.
It's been 7 years of that, and
That's
it's
amazing.
been
So we got 2 locations right now in LA. As you kind of looked at the build out and the size and how many Pilates reformers you have, talk about the without going through the actual economics, but talk about here's the amount of machines. I feel like it's optimized and kind of stays true to your experience, and then how you think about whether, if you bring in an investor at some point and want to grow to 10, like you say, or 20 or 50, what's some of like the special sauce of this business?
Yeah. I'll say the special sauce, there are a few areas. One is talent density. We're really highly focused on who we hire at the company.
And taking care of those instructors. That's something that was my background and experience at other studios, was sort of bring in these instructors, let them do their thing, work them to the bone, and then they're out. So building the culture within our team outside of the experience the clients are having. We want this to be a family, and that seeps out into the experience. And
are they all full-time employees?
They're not all full-time employees, but they're all employees.
Got it. Okay.
But to that point, we have formats that we have that Andrea has masterfully created that kind of integrate something. I was talking to her earlier. There's a concept at Netflix that they use called context, not control. And you can't have context, not control without good talent. But it's the formats provide a lot of context around why. And then the control part for the teacher is they can incorporate their, like an authentic piece of them into the formats, which creates an experience that, frankly, we've learned over the last several years, the clients actually feel.
Yeah, so, you want their personality, you want their creativity. That's why we were hiring them and making sure that they can get paid a high enough wage and have enough opportunity of growth to make it a full-time job.
You know, one of the things that I see around the industry, because I'm probably going to say what you're going to say. I go to SoulCycle. I'm like part of that cult. I go based on who the instructor is, and I will modify my schedule to basically go to that instructor at that location. I'm willing to travel modestly in New York City. There are companies and programs that have been set up like Orange Theory. Orange Theory is basically saying like, it's the program, that instructor is a team leader, okay? And I'm like basically boxing that person in by their title. Because I don't want you to choose a class based on a team leader. I want you to choose a class so we can optimize the amount of people that I get through here per day. So when you take a look at like, obviously I want to treat everyone like a family. I also don't want to like promote everyone like they're like the rock star, because the rock star salon hairstylist owns the salon, unfortunately, and when that person leaves, you got to rebuild. So how do you guys think about like that yin yang, if you will, or that trade-off?
So I look at, in terms of talent and instructors, who represents our brand the strongest, who has our same principles and values and really exudes exactly the experience and the personality and the passion that we want. So when we have them, we push to make them a star within our space. It's not about, I want to be the face of this. I want us to collectively be a brand. So from the start, that was really important to us, because I hadn't experienced that at other studios. It's sort of, you do something in the media and it's hidden. You know, the owner doesn't necessarily want to share the spotlight. And I wanted to create a space where that was not the case. So identifying who these key players are within the teaching team, letting our PR team know everything about them so they can be promoted, representing our brand, go out, you know, work events, do all these things. And that to me is how we grow and we scale in terms of talent and having these leaders.
So inevitably, we've got a lot of investors that are looking for concepts in the boutique space over the last, from like March 2020 until basically like January 2023, nobody returned my phone call. And I'm trying to get money, right? So now the phone's ringing. So at my event tonight, I'm gonna be like, look, I can tell you, I don't have to give you data. I can just tell you like 6 private equity firms called me last week and want to invest in the fitness industry. Like, that's my tell, right? It's like 6 plus 6 instead of 0. As investors listen to this call, I think there's very interesting things about the Pilates modality. And I want to go through a couple of them and I want you guys to add to it. The first one is, no one has become the low-cost leader in Pilates. So everybody who's in the Pilates space says, I recognize the value that I'm delivering. You're gonna get results probably better in the mirror on your commitment of time to results, better than any other modality, I think, in Pilates. During COVID and after COVID, people are like, look, I got my own machine. I'm not jumping around, so I feel safer, and I'm already socially distanced, right? And the other thing is, the Pilates instructor doesn't have to do the workout like they're doing at SoulCycle, right? So they're capped on like, this one guy's like a professional tennis player, plays like 5 sets a day, and he like does 5 SoulCycle classes. The average person can't do that. Right. So either like expand on some of those points, or add on, you know, or add some more bullet points of like, what makes this unique from an investment standpoint that maybe it's not on the surface like a tell.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's one of the biggest things is physically we don't have to do it with them. So having the different ways in which you can deliver an hour of Pilates, you can do that for 8 hours a day as an instructor. You can do a mix of group classes, privates. You can film for our on-demand platform, which has actually been really interesting. We started that during COVID, and seeing how that opened up opportunity with brand recognition in different states. We can see our analytics and our metrics on that. And when we opened after COVID, seeing who stayed, who came back, and what that looked like. And it really was very much a hybrid from the people that we talked to. on the on-demand platform, what did they do? Did they stay? Did they go?
What we've learned for our business is that our on-demand platform is actually the clients don't overlap. So we hear from a lot of fitness folks. We went to another conference. Oh, those are the same people that are coming into your studio, and they weren't. I want to touch on
an add-on to our
That's
brick and
good.
mortar.
I mean, that's great. The more you can provide, the better.
right.
It's scalable.
I want to touch on just scaling the high quality, low cost. I mean, there is some value. Like, we don't want to undersell what we're offering. So one is we don't do free offers and all of that, because you are getting high quality instruction from people who are certified in something, which is a little different than like a spin class.
Right.
The other thing that we learned is that we figured out a way to have instructors that have been with us for 7 years, the entire time.
Amazing.
We figured out a way to retain teachers, and then we also have a vision on how to scale that. We also feel like we've addressed another factor of like boutique fitness, really targeting a young audience, and really kind of expanding our client base, because we have experienced teachers. We have this mix of private and group, and we have just good leadership. Another differentiator for us is community. People are looking for that in their space.
Sure. And one thing I'm seeing with Pilates, as we're talking about, Pilates is having a big boom in all aspects of it right now, on demand, mat work, reformer work. But one thing we're seeing specifically in Los Angeles right now is almost going back in time a little bit. It's becoming a little bit more exclusive, invite only. You have to have X amount of social media followers to even ask to come in. It's this shift toward this.
Like Soho House or something?
Exactly, it is.
My buddy's like, I was like 40 years old. My buddy's like, dude, I'm like applying to Soho House. If you know anybody, that could be really helpful. I'm like, bro, you went to like University of Pennsylvania. You're like president of like Yahoo Sports. Like, it's okay, dude. You'll get in.
Yeah.
Like, you should put this pressure on yourself.
And so
apply to pay like $6,000. Nuts.
So
anyway,
we're seeing
nice
that.
Aside, bring it back.
And so one of the differentiators with us and one of the driving forces with our brand is we want to make sure that we really make it clear that it's an inclusive environment. You can sign yourself up. You can come. You're a part of a team. So instead of trying to buy in to a team or be invited, we're inviting you in, and you still get that you're a part of something. You're a part of a group. And so that's a big driver for us right now, and keeping those blinders on, making sure that's an offering in the fitness market in terms of Pilates.
Okay,
we also get that with our real estate and our build out and all of that. That kind of plays a huge role.
What's the square footage on the average for the two locations?
So the average for our two locations are 1,600 square feet.
That's it. All right,
That's
awesome.
it.
And how many reformers are in each one?
We will cap out. They're 11,
Okay.
and then we'll cap out at 12. We have 2 additional studios in the works right now.
Awesome.
We're going for 12.
California?
In Southern California, yeah.
Got it. Have you been looking at locations that were ex-fitness facilities and be able to do any kind of easy rework or no?
No, we look at most of our spaces have been blank, new construction spaces that we build out from scratch. So,
but what we're looking at are the neighboring tenants, the area, what the experience is, because Pilates, the client generally does want that experience. They want to get a coffee afterward. They want to come with friends. They want that community angle. So making sure we can find a space that has that offering is ideal for us.
And we also, we're not willing to work with every single person in the world. Like there's a certain, we look at the landlord, we look at who the, who's the real estate group that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
All of those things come into play. And the other thing about picking up another gym, the aesthetic of Speir is not really inspired by what gyms looked like yesterday.
So a couple of points. I showed you the back of my jacket here. Like, you can't have artificial intelligence until you have intelligence. You're building this community. Obviously, you guys are high touch, and you want to have a relationship with your members. What software do you currently use for your
Mariana Tech.
Mariana Tech. Okay, great. We know Shannon. I just spoke at one of their events. Mm-hmm. What I was saying to them is, like, you got to help the studios get as much information. Like, I got to know.
Reporting. Do
you have kids? Do you have a daughter who's on like a cheerleading squad or field hoggers? Is there somebody in your community, in your family that I can help optimize what they're doing. Also, like, what are your triggers? Like, do you have anxiety trying to find a parking spot? Let me pick you up. I'll get another member to pick you up. I got a problem with waking up early because I try and do like a 6 a.m. Soul Cycle class here with Emily. Sorry, Emily, I missed last week. Maybe hopefully she got paid on that as cancellation. Anyway, sorry, Emily. At 5:30, I decide whether I had a good night's sleep or not, and then I make that decision. If I had another member that says, "Hey, man, I'll pick you up at 5:35," like, I'm going, right? I'm not going to like cancel. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of things that we could do and put into the Mariana Tech database of like, here's everything I know. And when the front desk person checks somebody in, they're not looking at their phone. They're looking at my LinkedIn.
Exactly.
They're looking at my Instagram. They're finding like, who is this person? And then how come not everybody's having their birthday here? How come they're not doing their book club and Pilates here?
Right.
How come they're not doing coffee and Pilates?
Yep.
So are those some of the things that you guys are saying? Like, I got a certain amount of hours. I pay 100% of the rent, no matter. Dunkin' Donuts is 18 hours, 24 hours, and I'm open 4.
Yep.
So how do you guys think about hours, volume, and monetizing or optimizing relationships, not monetizing? Liz, you're up.
I'm up. I'll start with.
She's excited, guys.
I
I don't
am
know if you can
excited.
see. This is on video. Like, we're fired up.
the
dude.
finger go up.
We're all leaning in right now. It's like the new book, Lean Into the Mic. Fired up.
So we, since day one, have been about making sure we operate almost like hospitality. I've spent a lot of time going to lots of, hotels and places where they actually act. I feel expected when I show up. We want everybody who comes in the studio to feel expected. We keep track of information that they give us so that we can do that. I think that's since day one a huge part of it. And part of what we look at when we are looking at like Mariana Tech or MindBody or whatever all of those services, because we want to be able to track that and do that easily. So that's that. What else?
Talk to me about, like, has anyone had a birthday party? Has anyone asked you, like, hey, can I use the space? Like, talk about some of those things. I don't know why people are not, like, jumping on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell me what you're doing, and then somebody in some other area that's not competing with you can take this idea.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the
This
things...
is restricted from the LA County. Go ahead.
I actually, I've seen this grow since the world reopened with COVID. A lot of businesses want to do team bonding events in a health and wellness space, which has been really great that it's not just happy hour now, it's, additionally Pilates classes. So we take notes on clients. We have the front desk, we have our managers, everybody's going through. We emphasize standing up. We don't want people sitting behind the desk. They're up, they're walking around the desk, the managers, the teachers, they're greeting people. We're taking notes so we can, again, encourage and track their progress. Talk to them about doing birthday parties and doing events. We've had bachelorette parties.
Yeah.
We've even had baby showers because you can do Pilates when you're pregnant. We have a venture fund coming in to do a class in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So awesome.
We had a podcast come in with all of their influencers.
Yep.
We've had lots of filming. People, we live in LA, so there's productions going on.
Right.
We've had, people. And by the way, I brought Netflixers in for group classes and other groups like that. So it's just, it's the community. It's how you reach out to the community. It's how you market your studio.
Yes.
By
And we talk about this via newsletters, social media. We, do it in person. So it's always in people's minds that this is beyond just the workout.
And we also go to other studios, our peers, and go to other boutique studios, have our staff go, and we collaborate with, complementary modalities like boxing and others, and having that sense of community amongst our peers is also important. I found when I entered the business, none of the Pilates business owners ever talked to each other. Everybody thought that everyone else was like, competing and stealing all their their clients or their teachers. But it's important to have a community.
So I would say, and for the investors that are listening to this call and trying to find an opportunity to, what we say, like, play the space or like, back an entrepreneurial management team. Given your backgrounds, it's kind of like when someone says, is there a management team? What is the management team composition? Who do I need to add to the team? So I'm glad you guys got together and are partners here, because I think it's going to make a big difference in if you want to go and get outside capital, or if you want to kind of indicate like, hey, look, I've got all these bases covered. If we grow, obviously we're going to go ahead like a CFO, but like everything operationally, strategically, and like the nuances of how this business works, like we got that covered.
Yeah.
So in closing here, if you got any quotes that you live by or We got like a little quote library. If you have one, great. Please share it. If not, we can put hands in, go halo, and hit the bell.
I kind of want to hear the bell again. You've got one.
I mean, I'm entrepreneurial. I live by, not being stuck in the mud. Like you gotta look around you and see what's going on and be able to pivot. So.
All right. So to keep moving forward, we now have a new Halo Pilates platform. Liz and Andrea Speir Pilates. See you at location 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Soon.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Awesome
All right. Thanks
talking
for
to you.
having us.